Welcome back to part 2 of the Rimworld 10x10 challenge, where we're trying to see how far a colony can survive on maps limited to a 10x10 area. This challenge was inspired by Ambiguous Amphibian, so make sure to check out his channel for the OG inspiration for my one. And without further ado, let's get into part 2. Day 7 had an orange hue about it, partially from very vibrant sunrise, but also from this herd of gazelles that wandered in. It looked quite compact with how little space they had to roam about. I already wanted to be used as target practice as soon as the colonists were done with their breakfasts, with my ranger's bullets whistling past Bishop's ears as he was fighting the gazelle with his trusty dagger. Our prisoner regained strength to walk and wandered off, giving our colonists a +2 mood boost. But that wasn't enough for Bishop to forget Stony just yet, which threw him into a food frenzy. Not the worst mood break, and well, we had enough gazelles to replenish our supplies if he still our food, but honestly, valid crash out. Our donkey got pregnant, and since they did it on our cooking area, it also infected one of our meals, which gave Bishop food poisoning. Karma's a bitch, I suppose. I then thought the most sensible thing to do with all this newly acquired leather was to craft something out of it. It would sell for more than just the amount of raw resources. But then remembered that my guys kept complaining about sleeping on the floor, so I thought maybe bedrolls would be a better investment for now. Axel was starting to crack next, so I thought it'd be best if the first bed would be his. Our first batches of rice were ready, so I had Bishop harvest them between his vomiting fits. Thinking things are still going according to plan, I was excited to order my guys to now grow our first psycho plants, only to realize none of them have the required skills to do so. We live and we learn. With batteries unlocked, I only had solar panels left to research before I could supply my base with precious electrical power. By the way, did you realize I lost my medicine and leather to the environment? Well, I haven't just yet. One of our donkeys decided to run away, so the only reasonable reaction was to transform it into meals for our colonists. I'm happy you agree. On day 11, I decided to gamble 50 more wood into potential income, but a good quality sculpture ended up just being decoration for our base. Hopefully enough of those would raise the colonists' mood. That's definitely the best use of our extremely limited resources. And you would have thought I realized it by now, right? With the general mood dropping, I knew I had to act. So I had Bishop build our second bedroll, which ended up being excellent. I know if I ever do the challenge again, I'll be most likely trading bedrolls and keeping wood for fuel. Good job, Bishop. With Jono's final sculpture being poor condition, I decided to finally quit the sculpting business. He still deserves a bedroll for his work so far, and a good one at that. With 15 silver to our name and 2 small wooden statues to show for our progress, I decided to pay more attention to the value of our limited resources. Starting by building a shelf for our leather to prevent it from deteriorating on the floor, which ended up being a very worthwhile investment, by the way. So far so good, right? Cassandra thought so too, before remembering the difficulty we set her to, so she sent us a mega sloth. But before dealing with this, Jono carried our research once again, and I decided that the next logical step would be to try to research tree sowing, since it's quite rare for them to start growing on their own, and it's becoming expensive trading for a resource that should be abundant. I did, however, remember that for tree sowing, we needed a higher level plant skill than what our colonists currently have. So I announced the start of our plant skill training program. For the next couple of days, we'll repeatedly cut down and resow plants in a small space until we have enough level to finally start a drunk empire. That was until I realized that the Megasloth started grazing on our rice fields, so he had to go. I decided that our colonists' lives were worth more than 45 steel, so I used that to build a trap in front of the prison outhouse that we'll use as a pseudo bunker to attack the sloth out of. We'd use our brawler up front and the rangers behind. The classic. It ended up being a short fight that only cost Bishop his right middle toe. I guess Rimworld is also a game about cutting your losses. Our donkey foal was given birth, and Axel got 67 units of Mega Sloth wool out of the big fella. As well as plenty of meat he started cooking immediately. Hey, did you guys know that solar panels were 4x4 tiles? Well, I thought they were smaller. That's when I switched my plans in favor of powering my base with biofuel or wooden generators. I said I got inspired by Ambiguous Amphibian to try this challenge, not that I learned everything from him. I guess I should pay more attention. After expanding my growing area by uninstalling the failed investment of an hour bench, the Kanga Tree decided to raid me with a single attacker. We made short work of him and decided to put his natural resources to good use too. We will work with whatever we're given. And in this run, it isn't space. On day 14, I sent Axel to sell our raiders' belongings and one of our donkeys. Back home, I reinstalled the art bench and a spark of hope, I guess, and marked a new visitor as a hunting target. Pumpville was out of food, so I sent Axel to the neighboring town and realized they were selling slaves. A sure way to add colonists to our team, if we had the money. It seems our colony was doing surprisingly well, considering all the questionable choices and investments I was making throughout this run. That was until Thunderstruck. Now, I don't know the coding behind Rimworld's lightning strikes, but I'm sure it doesn't care about your map size, and it will strike with the same frequency, setting fire to everything it hits. So now, you will see me nervously micromanaging which fires should be extinguished first, prioritizing furniture first, as materials to make these objects again aren't exactly easy to come by when you're working with a 10x10 map. Jono might have had a curse set on him or something because lightning kept striking him, and after the fourth hit he collapsed. Panic continued, both for me and Bishop, who was now fighting the fire alone, leaving Jono untended with open wounds. First furniture to go was the table, so of course Bishop had to jump at the opportunity. And we didn't have enough wood around to build a new table in time. And of course, in these ruthless conditions, it was only a matter of time before Jono's open wounds would get infected. Now, Bishop was running back and forth between extinguishing flames and trying his best to patch Jono up. But understandably, he could only keep this up for so long before giving up psychologically too. With Axel back, he was now the only pawn who wasn't incapacitated. But will that be enough to save his colony? Like if you'd enjoy this and want to see more, and let me know how you would have acted in these situations. Subscribe to see if Jono survives his infections in part 2, and if Bishop ends up being the hero this colony needed, or maybe his break will be the death of all. On that note, see you guys in the next video.